like to welcome you to Boy Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to Boy Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty.
Welcome to Boy Meets Wellness. Welcome to the family. After this interview, you're officially Boy Meets Wellness alum, right? To be honest with you. And I'm honored to interview you today. So just start off with who you are, where you were born, and where you live now. Because I think, location is always important when we're starting these conversations.
All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Alafia Stewart. I am a belonging specialist. I'm also an Iyanifa Oshun. I'm a social media person. I make memes on the internet that have to do with African spirituality, wellness, and overall just trying to make sense of this thing called life.
And you know what I really appreciated about, you say you're a social media person, you're an influencer. I think there's a lot of folks creating media about African spirituality. It's almost like it just popped up, and you and I know that that's not true. But for you, why do you think that people are now intersecting that with social media in particular? Why is that happening at this time? And I just asked you that because I know you've been in the tradition for a while.
Yeah.
Any insight on, the popularity of it right now?
It's been very interesting because I was born and raised in this religion. I'm a second generation practitioner. And so when I was growing up, being a member of my religion wasn't cool. It wasn't something that people understood. I got bullied a lot, made fun of a lot, just it wasn't very socially acceptable. And so now that I am seeing so much of my religion in social media and in media in general, it's like a double-edged sword because I'm super excited that alternative spiritualities in the United States are becoming more normalized. So because people automatically assume I'm a Christian without me opening my mouth. And so that has shifted. People don't automatically assume what folks' religion is. And then when it comes to the reconnection of Black people specifically to an African traditional religion or diasporic religion, I'm super excited for all of us. I'm rooting for everybody Black because there is a special kind of trauma that comes with being robbed of aspects of your identity. When I was growing up, I asked my dad why we practice this religion. And he said, I was determined to give my children identity. You walk different, talk different, you engage with the world differently when you know who you are and where you come from and where you stand and where your compass is. And so it's been beautiful, but there's a lot of scamming going on. There's a lot of misrepresentation going on. And there are a lot of folks that know very little that run really, really far with that very small amount of information. And so sometimes it's really scary because it's particularly in something else that I do on social media regularly is I call out spam-like behavior because I want consumers of these spiritual services to be empowered and informed because a lot of terrible stuff happens. And so I kind of use comedy to let the message sink in that, when things are not quite right. And if comedy doesn't work, I just say what I want to say.
Yeah. You keep it blunt and you keep it real. And I remember, I think it was like 2 years ago, I was hitting you up and I was like, all these babalawos keep hitting me up talking about, sweetheart, you have this, I want to do a reading for you. And I remember you telling me if someone has a message for you, that is not the way that it's going to be delivered. So speaking of scammers, right? Because I want to dive into this conversation because I want this to be educational for our listeners. We have listeners who may be interested in this or who are already on that spiritual path. How do you sniff out a scammer? Like, how do you know it's a scam? How do you know it's a scam or a divination? Right? Like, which is very interesting. Like, how do you know?
Okay. So first off, opening up the oracle without your permission. Scam. Okay. If somebody has messages for you, it better be something that's coming from the ancestors or something else because it's definitely not coming from this religion. Second, being approached in the first place. We are not a religion that solicits. We are not. So anybody that's coming to you offering spiritual services, automatic red flag. Okay. people do not, in my experience, give the God and the consciousness in themselves enough credit. And I believe that what's happening, at least in my experience, probably over the last decade or so, is folks coming into Orisha practice from very scarred places. And in coming from those scarred places, I get it. We're looking for answers. We're looking for solace. We're looking for safety. And in that desperation for answers, in that desperation for safety, in that desperation to desire, and I'll be real, there are folks that want to come into my religion simply to get initiated and to have a title and to have some sort of social standing, which is wild to me. But it happens. And so you've got these folks that are coming in, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, you know what's reception proof? Religion. And it stuck with me since then, because there are a lot of people that are more than willing, not saying that there shouldn't be compensation for spiritual work, but those people that have a little bit of knowledge, those ones that run a mile with it, 10 miles, 20 miles around the world instead of around the block, those folks tend to be particularly loud. And I think that now, as I look back, part of the reason why I've stayed so long on social media doing what I do is because it is wild out there. There are a lot of people that are now making videos, now making these informational, selling retreats, selling spiritual items that don't know anything.
You're being really nice today. I just
I know,
want to say that. Well, this is an adult podcast, but you know, we don't want to go too far with it. Folks, go check out Alafia's social media, and you'll definitely see what I mean. I think what's interesting about it, like you said, religion is recession proof, right? And we know that we've seen that. That's the one thing that is consistent. What I find interesting is people who get upset when you don't want to comply with whatever they are trying to scam or do. And that to me is where I know it's a scam. It's like energetically, my ancestors who are divine, who are connected, who are like walking in the path that I'm walking in, they would not come to me like that. Like, right. So that's when I always know when you get upset. Right. And I've had the scammers from African spirituality. I've had scammers on what are people trying to get in your thing and getting your cash app. All these things, as soon as you call them out, right, they get offended. So I always say, if someone's getting mad at you for not listening, most likely they're not a guide, right? And they're not someone that's going to really do that work with you. So for folks who are like, hey, I want to do this, but I don't really want community, right? And I admit that I'm one of those people. Like for me, a lot of the work that I've done around my spirituality, I started on my own. Like you gave me a book, Zami gave me a book, right? I like to have my own relationship with spirit and with God. And I've always been that way. Community is great. Don't get me wrong. And I jam in that as well, but I'm more in the closet with it, right? And I know I was looking up some folks who are a part of different African religions in Hollywood that you don't even know about. You would never even know. And I feel like I will probably always be that person, right? Like you will not know, because I don't want to be that for you. For people who don't want to go into the elays, who don't want to necessarily do the community stuff, where do you suggest that they start with some of their work?
You know, it's really complicated because we are a practical religion. The things that you will know and understand come from practicality. Like it's like clinicals. Like you be in the space, making the medicines, doing the work. And, you know, I'm in the same boat, but I grew up in those rooms. So I come from a place of privilege when I'm like, I don't need to be a part of the spiritual houses. And I realized that's just such a vastly different experience than a lot of people. And honestly and truly, because of the scam-like behavior that is out there, I recommend nobody join a spiritual house unless you are 6 months or more into understanding that community, understanding what they do, understanding what their constitution is, how they operate as a group, being able to visibly see what's going on. Because unfortunately, there are modern day, what we see on TV, these types of communes and cults where stuff is happening because African traditional religion is becoming as popular as it is. We're also seeing a rise in those types of things. And It's really unfortunate. And some of these celebrities are in them.
Yep.
And that's the cold piece, right? And so somebody like me who's grown up in this religion, who very much so is connected in the community, like the stuff that I get through the grapevine and the things that I learn and I understand about what's going on really truly scare me. And if I'm scared and I'm also being solicited in the DMs, I'm also, and I think to myself, what is somebody who doesn't have my background or similar, what do they do? What do they do? And so my premise is to date this religion. Find out whatever you can, do your due diligence as if you would look for a life partner, because this religion is not free. It is expensive. Spiritual work is expensive. And you want to make sure that your money is going to be where you direct it to and not being fear-mongered into or coerced into or manipulated into. And then you have the aspect of community. And it's when done well, community is a beautiful, vital part of this experience. But because of the kinds of things that are going on these days, I do not blame anybody for taking several steps back and watching from a distance until, things move. And it's an old saying that, as you are on your path in life, that your teachers will reveal themselves.
Yeah.
And that's very, very much so what I would caution for anybody to do. It's like, keep doing what, and then, and unfortunately also, those people that have just a little bit of information also write a lot of books.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got folks that are consuming partial information. And sometimes I blame us. Like, I blame the folks that know better, because we don't have, a universally accepted text. We don't have, we're still getting ourselves together. And then for a while, our religion is complex. Its history is complex. Its relationship to human beings here is complex. And if quiet as is kept for African Americans, it's even more complex, because for a while we were culturally locked out of this religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Linguistically locked out, all kinds of things. And there are still some cultural bickerings that I'm glad to say are not as starch as they were when I was a child. So I think right now there's an information overload. So I would tell everybody, just take your time and don't just research the Orisha religion. There are way, way more. There is more than just us. But because we are so immediately accessible in this country, you see it a lot more.
Exactly. And just a lot of people, I think, wanting, like you said, wanting that sense of community, wanting that sense of protection, coming from traumatized space. I know for me, Ile, that I would say I'm a member. I'm kind of like a partial member. Like, I'm not like super active, but I dated them for 2 years before I even went to anything. Right. And I was just more in the background. And what's exciting about it now is just like a lot of folks who've already been in my walk of life, or my friends, or connected in other space, are a part of it. So when you see people pop up, you're like, oh, well, this was meant to be. This is meant to be home. And what I love about my godparents in particular is that, during one of my divinations, they told me, like, this is going to be slow for you, and everything has been slow for you. And that's kind of how I knew I was at home, because I was like, yep, I'm the one that hesitates. I'm the one that thinks everything's a scam. So just the fact that they knew that, right. And that was an acceptable approach, right. They're all about, like, bring what you have. If you have resources, great. If you don't, then that's not what you're meant to be doing right now, because they don't want people to be taken advantage of. And I think that that's opposite from what I hear about a lot of people, right? Even a sliding scale, like whoever comes up with that concept, most of the time it's like, no, I want my money right now, here and now. And, that really sparked my interest, because when I was doing a lot of things around Christianity, that's how it felt for me. It felt like if my family didn't have the biggest check, then they weren't going to get the biggest attention in church. And that was something that I always felt was like just dumbfounded and just not a good use of energy and time, because resources are more than money. And we know that, right? We know that. So let's talk about your social media, right? Because I think what I appreciate about you, Alafia, is that you have the ability to bring in humor, right? You have the ability to build an audience, but you also are taking care of community at the same time. So like for the folks who are like just the social media influencers who were trying to get started, how did you get started, and what are some of the practices that you do to make sure that you create content that is, morally connected to your religion, but also staying on brand? Because I know that that's important for you as well.
It's been a constant evolution because I've been on social media for a really long time. I started as a travel blogger. I started, trying to talk about my experience using social media as a personal diary when I was living overseas in a couple of places. And so I didn't start in social media about my religion. I still carried a lot of like secrecy and like I didn't want anybody to know about my religious affiliation if they weren't close to me. And so that is it. So it's been a significant shift.
And you had like a dating website at one time?
Yes. I had my community's first dating website. I developed our community's first peer-to-peer market. Our own version of I guess it would be similar to Etsy, but I serial entrepreneur, always trying to take care of community, always trying to meet community needs. Unfortunately, community has not supported those projects in a way that would make them sustainable, but I haven't given up on us. We're going to have what we need to have, and if it's not me, it'll be someone else. And I always tell people, they're like, oh, bring the dating website back. And I always say, maybe that wasn't my time. Maybe it's for you. Because anything that I do for a community is not something that I believe only I should be doing. I think all of us should be contributing to the elevation and the circular economy of our religious community, because with that, we will, then be able to harness some of the same things that other spiritual groups have in regards to, their buying power. So one day I see communities for us, our large temples and, just neighborhoods. I would love for our children to be able to be raised in environments where they're wearing their ceremonial, whatever it is, and nobody's making fun of them. Nobody's putting film in their hair. Nobody's saying that they're a part of a cult. And, I got jumped, y'all. Like it was not popular. So it's just, I'm glad for the young people of our community to be able to grow at this time. And I just think that it's going to be even more beautiful as it becomes more normalized.
Yeah. And I think social media is doing that, right? And people like you who are showing up. So there's always a good and bad side of social media, right? Like I think you and I are content creators. We've been doing, like you said, you've been doing this for years. I've been doing this for years. I mean, same face, different mission, right? But people often see the followers. They see the money, they see the love, and they're like, oh, it's great. Can you talk about some of the challenges of particularly now stepping out, right? Because you're kind of coming out when you think about it. Because all this time, it's been a part of your social media, but not in the forefront. What are some of the challenges with being a spiritual wellness practitioner online?
Oh, man. So I'm a regular person with a regular 9 to 5. My spirituality does not bring income into my life. And people just think that it does. And I'm just like, no. And I think that's a common misconception for a lot of influencers, that people believe that, they're getting all of this money. And it's just like, no, I produce content that is 99% just consumed. It's just informational. It's educational. And so if you are someone who's in this spiritual practice that doesn't offer services, that doesn't offer products, that doesn't offer these sort of things, it's mostly consumed. And one of the biggest pitfalls of that in particular, people think you're making money, but you're not. And then you also, for free 99, are opening yourself up to public criticism, spiritual attack. And so I constantly, have to keep myself on top of things and stay in tune, because it is very much, I would say, a borderline. If you got your defenses up and you got your arsenal in order, then whatever it is will not derail you too much. But it would be a disservice to not say how dangerous and draining it can be for people like myself, Baba David Sosa, just a lot of us that are, trying to bring that knowledge, that nurturing knowledge of like, hey, that's not really be wary of this, or, pause for a second before you engage in something that looks like this. And it's thankless. It's thankless. And so you got to love your community in order to do it. And so I felt like, because I was seeing so many, and I'm just say it again, if you're listening to this podcast and you want to know whether or not you're in one of the cults that's abusing its members that I know of, reach out. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And because I don't offer services, because I am not part of an ELA, because I am an introvert and a hermit, I also really value the trusted space that I've been placed in my spiritual community to be a voice of truth, a voice of light, a voice of reason, because I want everybody to win and I want my people not to get got. Okay?
Like, they don't deserve it.
No, and my religion is so beautiful and it gives so much. So those people that, come with their negative energy or are doing unscrupulous things, it's like I feel not only personally offended, but I'm just like, damn, now this person has such negative ideas and experiences. Now this person may not, may be thrown off entirely from their destiny's path because of something like this. And I want everyone to have the most beautiful experience possible with my religion.
Peace, family. I want to give you a gift. The guided meditation for wealth is an opportunity for you to start building wealth and growing your income and having a better relationship with money. When I put this meditation together, I was struggling. I was really sitting in some scarcity. And to be honest with you, that still happens to me to this day. This meditation gives you an opportunity to practice and break through that every day. It also gives you an opportunity to move past some of the negative thoughts that you might have around abundance and money. So I'm going to leave the link to this in the show notes or in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, so that you can get into the guided meditation for wealth for free. I want you to listen to this at least twice a day and give yourself an opportunity to build a better relationship with money.
And you're doing a great job by building that space, right? And, I think what's great about social media is as you grow, right, we know that you can monetize it, but you can definitely take those folks off of that space to be able to build, better communities for them. And I know you're doing some work. One of the apps you were telling me about that you're kind of working on where you support people. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I think it's called Willow. What is it called?
Okay. Yeah, Willow. So essentially it's a texting app. So since I've been on social media, particularly in the spiritual space, I was trying to find a way for folks to be able to contact me directly, because I'm also a parent. Like, I have a child that I'm taking care of. I can't be on
that is hella cute and amazing. I would like to say hella cute and amazing. And one of my broke best friends, but she gonna have a bag before it's over with. Right now she's just one of my broke best friends. So
just clearing it up. Like, I'm taking care of my cousin, and so I have a little person who is 100% relying on me. I can't be on social media all day. I can't, all of that stuff, but I still want to give my knowledge in a way that attempts to at least compensate my time. And so with Winnow, it's $5 a month, and you can ask me anything. Ask me anything. You want to know about somebody, you want to, pick my brain about a situation that you're in and one of your, on your spiritual path, engaging with other people, and you'd like an outside perspective, and do that. And it's been good. It's been good. I've been able to reach people immediately. If you catch me when my phone is in my hand, you're getting that service out the gate right there. And so it's just like, and there's 7 days, a couple of days free before even that $5 starts. And so some folks are even getting free questions, but I love my people. And so I also am not in the habit of charging for the information that I have. And so that's something that I'm also working through.
Exactly.
So Winnow makes it easy. And you go to my Instagram and then click on text me, and then you'll be able to text me, and I'll be able to answer these types of questions. And I really enjoy that aspect because, Folks are able to send me pictures of things. Folks have even sent me pictures of ceremonial items that they've received that are not only not what they're supposed to be, but been charged thousands of dollars for them, thousands of dollars. And it's just, it hurts my heart, but it gives me an opportunity to really connect with someone, because I try to be everybody's God sibling, no matter what they practice. And as your God sister on the internet, I don't want anybody to, I don't want anybody to be without. So I have this service, and I offer this service to my followers to just get in contact so they can ask any questions that they might, need another pair of eyes on, that's zoomed all the way out and non-biased, non-judgmental, completely confidential. Yeah, really I want us to win.
That's really dope. That when I heard that you were doing that, I was like, that's going to be really cool. So where do you see this going? Right? Because I mean, your followers are growing. You was on Shade Room, right? Like you didn't had some moments just in this last couple of years. Uh-huh. Where do you see the brand going? What's the ultimate dream?
My ultimate dream would actually be to find a way to explore and educate people about the ways in which ancient religious practices and thoughts overlap. Like, we live in a world where there's so much information. And recently, I've just been coming across just how many spiritual concepts are so similar to my religion. But this is from Hawaii. This is from South Africa. This is from Indonesia. And it's just been mind blowing, because we live in a society where there is a core set of religions that have essentially taken over, right? And they have all of these people. And then these ancient practices, at least now in modern times, folks are moving away. They're moving away from the religious constructs that they come from and reconnecting back to what to where their ancestry. Some even feel called to other practices of other parts of the world, like all of these things. And I've just been so in awe at the similarities, just in the similarities in water festivals around the world, ancient practices. I mean, I'm blown away. So I'm working on trying to take my love of ancient spirituality around the world and build community around that. And, to be a guest to the world, to be a guest to folks' spiritual ceremonies. If anybody's listening and you just want a homie that's there for what you got going on, please feel free to invite me. I just am so in awe. I had a friend that was telling me about a ceremony that she's going to be in. She's Maori, and this is in, New Zealand. And I'm just like, the world is so full. Is so full. And I would love to have a brand that not only showcases those things, but gives, elevates the vibration of the community, elevates the vibration of the world, and gives gifts of knowledge and experience and humor. Because if I was to do it, it's going to be funny as hell.
You're going to bring in the humor, and we're going to be traveling around the world because you love to travel. So tell us, and I know this is going to be hard for you, but top 3 places that you've been around the world that you have felt the most connected and that were the most beautiful.
Oh, that is so hard. Top three. Okay, I'll give you the top 3 places, but it will be for each of them is for different reasons. The safest place I have ever been in my life is Japan. The safest place I've ever lived. And I was there for almost, a couple years. And I lived in a fishing village, and I kid you not, it was the first time that I had ever been able to hear the world around me. I was living in nowhere. I was able to look up in the night sky, no artificial life and artificial light, and see into the cosmos. It was just, organic food. I used to snack and drink and do whatever. And my body loved it. Did not care. I would eat whatever and wouldn't feel ill. Nothing. And so the safest that my physical self has ever experienced was in Japan. Another place that I really have enjoyed is Accra, Ghana, but specifically a small area of Barakuso. There's Isese University is there, and it's this mountainous region. And when you're on the campus and you look out, I was there really early in the morning, and there was something so spiritual about the way that the sun was rising through the misting hills. And I just remember standing there just being in complete awe. And then having the wonderful food, the incredible style. It feasts for the eyes. And of course, every place has its issues, right? But I believe in being a guest to the world that is always willing and ready to see the good and to see the magic and to see what makes a place just, the heartbeat of it. And then, so Ghana was, Accra specifically, Barakuso specifically, is a place where I felt the most just like in awe. And I think it's because, that's where we come from, being able to step foot. And people think that I would feel the same way about Nigeria because that's where I was initiated. But that is a whole separate experience. So it's not on my favorite list because I wasn't traveling. I had a very specific goal there. And then I would say my last one, it would probably have to be Bangalore, India. And I would say that because when I was in Bangalore, we had an opportunity to go to, there was this area, and something about where I was, I really loved how many temples I saw. Like it was by far the most visibly spiritual place I had ever been to. And I mean, like, you have temples for varying divinities. And the fact that in a place like that, you can have a regular conversation with somebody about, a religion like mine, where we have a primary divinity, one God, and then we have all of these other divinities under that, where it's not looked at as being strange. It's not looked at as being, some otherworldly, dismissive, evil thing. And I would say that Bangalore was the place that I felt most able to be my spiritual self and to have those kinds of conversations and to say, oh my goodness, that's so much similar to what I do, or this is beautiful, this is what I do, and it not be something that someone is afraid to talk about, or not be something that I am automatically shunned or isolated socially because of. And so that was beautiful.
I think you're an amazing storyteller. I can't wait until this travel show comes out, because I'm going to be, in post-production there, bringing all the organic snacks. But I really appreciate about you, Alafia, is that you go into these spaces with so much love, right? Mm-hmm. Like even the way you describe it is so much of being a part of that community and not wanting to be disrespectful. Sometimes when I ask people about travel, it's all about them, right? Mm-hmm. But for you, it's like, this is what the space made me feel. And this is how I feel like I was able to give, right? And be there. And just by being in space, watching the sunset, not being capitalistic and being like, oh, I got this souvenir. I got this memory. I got this experience that I can literally go back to, right? Mm-hmm. And be able to tap into that space. So that's really cool. So I want to get us into our next segment, which is Boy Talking Hop. And I know you love a game because I love a game, and we've had our Uno battles. We'll have to have another one very soon. We've had our spades battle, and I want everyone to know, if y'all gonna play spades with Alafia, don't play with her brother and her, because that is something I decided to do, and I didn't do well. So sibling, have them be on opposite teams, because they'll whoop your ass, right? So,
we're clearing the table every time.
Everything. Time. And talking smack the whole time. Okay, so this is a little bit of a game, but it's not a game as in you're going to win anything. It's just more, I'm going to give you a statement, and then I want you to fill in the blank, right? And it's just whatever first comes to mind. Okay. And it's going to be about 4 or 5 statements. And this is just our way of having fun, getting loose, and kind of seeing where your mind is at. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, great. So let's start off with, love is
something you are willing to give up your freedom for. Ooh. Something, someone, some ideal. Whatever you're willing to give up your freedom for is what I consider something you love.
Money is
buying happiness. Okay. People say money is not that, money can't buy you happiness, but it could sure relieve a lot of tension so you could be happy. It's just like, no, let's not play with it. Making sure all the bills are paid gives you the room Okay, the space to not be occupied by survival.
If you could speak to anyone, dead or alive, what would you speak about and what would you do?
Oh my goodness. You know this. I would want to speak to my sister. I would want to ask her how she's doing on the other side. I would want to ask her if she feels connected to us, if she feels like, are we making her proud? Are we doing the things that she can look at with joy? That's what I would do. Oh goodness.
Yes. When I ask that question, people often bring up siblings or grandparents. I would say like that's the top thing that everyone brings up because, you know, those are the folks we want to always make proud. And I want to let you know right now, I can feel it. You're making her damn proud.
Thank you.
You are making her damn proud. Wellness is
life. Wellness is life. If you can't identify the ways in which to make yourself well, then you will constantly be sick of the mind, sick of the body, sick of the spirit. Like your wellness must be your life.
My favorite food is
anything that's seasoned.
So it can't be bland as long as it's not bland.
As long as it's not bland, and I'm good. Like I love food, and food loves me back, and so we in a relationship. The only condition is seasoning. It's a non-negotiable.
And last but never least, Alafia is.
Oh, the immediate thing that I thought, Alafia is Alafia. I am all that my name is. So your name means a lot in this religion, and the name that you get. So you get a new name after your priesthood. And I realized that I was blessed to be born with the name Alafia and what it represents, and wellness and peace and desire for balance. And even though it's an Arabic word, it was adopted during Islamic takeover of Nigeria into my religion. And then I have my second name from my priesthood, and it's essentially that I am enriched. And I speak the truth. So I feel like as long as I am trying to attain all that is the definition of my names, then I'm in alignment with my highest and best destiny.
And you better. So for folks who are listening, thank you for doing Boy Talking Hopsy. It was chill. It wasn't as bad as that spades game, right?
Okay,
it was
you come on back for that good old catastrophe, okay?
For folks who want to support your work, what are you working on next, and how can they connect with you?
Just come on over to Instagram, Facebook. I am trying Twitter. It's a little difficult, but I am getting there. I just throw my thoughts into the ethos. And, if you are wanting to get started in this religion, if you have questions, text me. And you will always get very straight up, no chaser, very honest, non-biased information. And I think it's a necessary service. So y'all come on over. I'm your new God sibling on the internet. I want you to be well.
So folks, we're going to make sure we put all of those links in the show notes. So if you're listening now, or if you're watching us on YouTube, just be sure to look in the show notes, look in the comments, look in the description. You can click and connect with one of my amazing friends. Me and Alafia have known each other, I think, almost 20 years now. I was just talking to one of my best friends about this. Like we've known each other a while. So you are in trusted hands. Boy Meets Wellness commits to this, that you will be taken care of and valued. And please go follow her work. Go follow her style. She's always putting out and showing the new fashion that she has going on as well, to really be able to support her work. Anything else you want to share with the audience before you head out?
I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for having me a part of this. And I'm so excited. Like, Boy Meets Wellness is a necessary conversation, a continual conversation. And I'm just so happy to be able to support you, to be able to support this venture. And, this is what I'm talking about. These kinds of podcasts elevate the consciousness of our community. It gifts and gifts and gifts, peace, wellness, light. And so I'm always ready to support. Hi, everyone. My name is Alafia, and I was born, obviously, incredible.
Thanks for listening to Boy Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at Boy Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time, go be incredible.